Alright guys, welcome to Thursday. Sorry I couldn't be here. I have a doctor's appointment. We are going to go through 10.4 and 10.5, and like I told most of you, this chapter, or these two sections are about drawing. First one's about perspective drawings, and the second one is about well, drawing an isometric dot paper from a corner view. You have a packet in front of you that I expect you to fill out as we go through this, okay? Those are your notes. So let's get started. Perspective drawings. First of all, what is a perspective drawing? It's a way of looking at an object on a flat surface so that they look as they appear in real life. Okay, it's just drawing from a perspective, from a particular perspective. Okay, from the corner, from the front, but we're making them into 3D. Okay. By the way, I haven't mentioned this, but if you need to pause this to write down what the definitions are, please do, in order to make this video shorter and your class time more productive. All right. In perspective drawing, parallel lines are drawn in perspective and appear to come together in the distance. Okay. So more stuff about perspective drawings. Those parallel lines come together in a distance. It seems as though they just kind of meld together. A vanishing point. A vanishing point is a point that lies on the horizon where parallel lines appear to come together. Okay, parallel lines appear to come together. Should be an S there. Where the parallel lines come together, it's like railroad tracks, right? If I have railroad tracks and these things are the tracks, all right? In the distance, eventually it looks like they come together. We call that point the vanishing point. All right. So again, pausing when you need to fill this stuff in. Moving on. The drawings can either be done in 1 or 2 point perspective, and I'll give you examples of how to do that as we move on. Okay. Move on to the next slide. So example, we're going to draw a cube in 1 point perspective, and I'm going to have steps here that are going to allow for you to do this. All of you know that I am a horrible artist. However, if I follow these rules, I can draw good pictures even though I have no artistic skill whatsoever. All right, so first thing you're going to do is, if we're going to draw a cube, the first thing we're going to do is draw a square. Okay, so we're going to draw the front of the object, and that's what you always want to start off with. The front of the object, front surface of the cube. Second thing we're going to draw is a horizon line and a vanishing point. Okay, horizon line and a vanishing point that's on that line. Okay, next thing we're going to draw, next thing we're going to do is connect the vertices of the square to the vanishing point. Okay, connect the vertices of the square to the vanishing point. Step 4, draw a smaller squares whose vertices touch all 4 line segments. Draw a smaller square whose vertices touch all 4 line segments. Number 5, connect the vertices of the 2 squares and remove extra lines that are connected to the horizon line. Remove the horizon line, and from there on we will have a cube in 1 point perspective. Okay, so I think what I need to do here is kind of show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go back to the back side, and we're going to flip back and forth between these, okay? So the first step was to draw the front face of the cube. So here is the front face of my cube, and then I needed to draw a horizon line. Generally, you're going to do this above the open face, or above the face, and I'll make my vanishing point here. And then I'm going to draw lines that go back to that vanishing point, okay? I don't have a straight edge. I would recommend you use one, okay? And here is my line going back. I'm going to redo that last one because that kind of sucked. Okay. So now I got all my vertices going back. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another square, another back side of this, and it's going to be smaller than this original one. This is what it looks like. Connecting that line in the back, going up top, and now over. Okay, and now I have a cube backside, and I am going to now erase the extra lines like it said. So I'm going to erase here, here, and as I erase, now I have a 3D cube. Guys, we were doing this in our 3D objects before. We were making these dotted lines. This line doesn't need to be here. That line doesn't need to be there. All right, these are things that we were practicing before. But now what I can do is I can change where my vanishing line is at any point. So if I draw another front face, here's my vanishing point on the horizon line, and now I'm going to go straight back with my cube on all four, draw another one, and now I have a cube looking straight on. And again, I have things that I have to erase. Um, these things back here, and those don't exist anymore. But now you can see I can move my vanishing point anywhere. I could do the same thing with my vanishing point here and move my lines back that way. And that's how we draw things in one point perspective. One point meaning that there is one vanishing point. Okay? All right, going back to the beginning here. Let's go to the next slide. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is two-point perspective. It's a drawing that has two vanishing points, as if you were looking at from the corner. Okay, so if we look at this, imagine that I took this entire thing. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Imagine that I took this entire thing, and I don't know if this is going to work, but I took it and I rotate all of this stuff. That doesn't work, but you get the idea. I want to spin it on its axis, so now I'm looking at it from possibly this corner instead. So here's how we do this. First thing we do is draw that front corner. We draw a vertical line to represent the front cover from which we are viewing the object. Okay. Then we draw a horizon line and vanishing points on each side of that segment. Okay. Vanishing line on each side of that segment. Step 3, we connect the top and bottom of the vertical line to each vanishing point. Step 4, we draw 2 or more vertical lines on either side, depending on what kind of shape we have, and connect the top on each opposite vanishing point. Okay, so that's a whole lot, and let's do an example that goes through this. Okay. And obviously, step 5 is the same as the last one. Erase any unneeded lines. Okay, so let's go through, and I think I got space. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right on here. So I'm going to draw my front corner. Okay, I'm just going to make it nice and straight. And then I'm going to draw my horizon line, a vanishing point on either side of the segment. So I want to get a black marker. Vanishing point and a vanishing point. And I'm going to be a little bit more precise this time. I'm going to use my straight line tool. And now I need to connect each of these edges to that vanishing point. Looks like that. Okay. From there, what I need to do is mark off the end of my rectangle. Okay, so here's the front edge, one of the edges going off in the distance, and I'm going to mark off here, and then I'm going to mark off here, drawing my vertical line segments down. And now here's the kicker. Here's the thing that really makes it look 3D. What I'm going to do now is connect these at the back side. Okay, and what I want to do from there is erase all of the unneeded lines. All of the unneeded lines here are everything above now my rectangular prism that I've drawn. Okay, I can't actually erase these right now because of the way that I drew them. Maybe if I get a white, and now, well, I'd have to get much fatter than that, I suppose. But I would erase all of these lines, and now I have it in 2-point perspective instead of 1-point perspective. Okay, this is how you're going to see a lot of drawings done. You know, if I want to make a building out of this, I could put in a door. Oh shoot, I don't know, but you get the idea. I would have a door. It looks like this, and handle maybe a window, something like that. I can make this into a store. Blah blah blah. All right, so that's how we do this. Let's go into the next slide. All right, find the vanishing point. Okay, now we're going to work with the same steps given that we already know what our figure is. All right, is this 1 or 2-point perspective? Well, if I'm looking at this, I need to figure out where my lines go back. All right, so I need to trace these lines back And what happens is all of these lines should intersect at the same spot. And my vanishing point was right here, so that's the vanishing point. Okay. This cheaters says 2-point perspective, so this is going to be 2 points perspective. By the way, the first one was 1-point perspective. This is 2-point perspective because we're viewing it from the corner. Okay, so 1-point perspective is when you're looking at a front face. 2-point is when you're looking at a corner. All right, do the same thing here. Trace these lines back, and this was actually going to run off the page, but will probably be, maybe another 6 inches over here, maybe. And then we can trace these back, and our vanishing point would be here for that one. Okay, so that's how we find our vanishing point for giving figures. All right, that's the end of 10.4. Let's move on to 10.5. Again, pausing when you guys need to. Okay, 10.5. We're talking about isometric drawings here. All right, an isometric drawing is a drawing that shows an object from its corner, and it's also a view of the top. Okay, a top from the corner. So it's kind of like the drawings from, kind of like these. If I rotated this a little bit more that direction. Okay, we're viewing it from this corner, from the top side. That's what isometric drawings are. So let's go back. So we're looking at from top to corner, and looking at it from the top. 3 sides are showing the top and 2 sides. Sorry about that. Ugh. All right. So let's just get right into this. I could give you a bunch of directions on how to do this, but it's easiest to just see it. Some of you might really like doing these. I have some pretty cool drawings. If you look to your right, I had a couple students draw some things that are up on the board there. I have isometric dot paper on the sides of the room. If you want to take that and draw something, and maybe I'll put it up on the board, you could be famous for years to come if you draw something pretty cool. Anyhow, back to how we do this. All right, so just like before, we're going to start off by drawing the front corner. All right, and then these dots are kind of like guidelines of where to go. There's a bottom edge of my cube, the other bottom edge. Here's the top edge, and there's the other top edge. Okay, I'm just connecting dots here. That's all I'm doing. There's the edge, there's the other edge, and now all I'm missing is the top. And the dots tell me exactly where it needs to go. Okay, so that's one cube drawn in isometric dot paper. Okay, that's one isometric drawing. We can double up the length and say, all right, well, instead of going 2 dots, I can go 1, 2, 3 dots, which is 2 spaces now. And then I just double everything. There's 2 dots that way, 2 dots that way, 2 dots that way, and that way. Fill in the blanks. And now I have a larger cube. Okay, again, drawn seeing 2 sides and the top. All right, moving on to the next piece here. What your worksheets are going to ask you to do is to draw specific shapes and then ask you questions about how many cubes there are. All right, so this one asks you to draw an isometric drawing that has 3 cubes in the shape of an L. So the first thing you're going to do is obviously you're going to just start with 1 cube. All right. There is my first cube, just like I had drawn before. And now it says 2 cubes in the shape of an L. Here's the thing. If I were to draw another cube attached to this, all I would see is the top and maybe this side here. So I'm just going to draw the top. And then there is the top of it. And then I'm going to see the side, so I'll fill in the side. If I were to connect these down here to finish it, I wouldn't really see these lines, so I don't draw them. Oh, I forgot my front edge here. So now I have 2 cubes, and now I need to draw one next to it. I can draw one over in this area here. Oops, where'd it go? Oops. Sorry about that. I could draw one in this area here, or I could draw one over here. Again, if I draw it over here, all I'm going to see is the top edge and a little bit of this side as it goes down. So now you can see 3 cubes. I can add another one going that way in the same fashion, and I can keep going with just the top and the side faces that I will see. If I want to zigzag back this way now, I can draw the top edge that I'm seeing, and you can see how this works. Okay. All right, so those are drawing isometric cubes that are attached to each other, and that's one layer of the isometric cubes. Okay, let's go back to the one that I drew before. I could take this drawing and now split it up into x's. Now it looks like I have a bunch of cubes. And a question might come and say, well, how many cubes are there? Well, you have to only count the faces, but you also have to count the cubes that you can't see. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes in this block, and now there's 4 more cubes in this block. So there's actually 8 cubes here. And those will be some questions that you'll have to answer on your homework. All right, let's move on to the back side. Okay, backside says how many cubes are in this drawing, like the question that I was asking you. Now let's think about this. I have a cube here, I have a cube here, so that's 2 for sure. And then I have this cube up here, so 2 plus 1. But how does this cube end up being higher than these other ones? Well, there must be a cube that I can't see. There must be a cube underneath that cube that's on top. So I really have another cube that this one is stacked on. So I have actually 4 total cubes in this drawing. And those are going to be questions that you're going to be asked, okay? How many exposed faces are there, okay? Now if we're talking exposed faces, now what do you think about only the faces that we can see? So the ones that you can see are the ones that you can count, okay? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 exposed faces, but on this back side, I have 3 more. And on this back side, I also have 3 more. So I have 5 plus 3 plus 3, and that's going to give me 11 total faces. Okay, so I have 11 total faces that are exposed. That does not include the bottom, so not including the bottom. We're assuming that the bottom is covered up because it's just resting on the bottom, all right? Pretty much that is it for these lessons, guys. Those are the things that I wanted you to know about isometric drawings and perspective drawings. We will go over some more practice problems. If you have more questions on this stuff, please make sure that you ask them when I come back on Friday. I will see you later. Take care.